Credit card real quick.
Okay,
Pay for that pizza.
not a problem.
Okay, we're back in regular session. Are we rolling? 11:06. All right, bid opening time.
Here's the sign-in sheet.
How do you spell Craig?
Okay. I think I got two. Okay. Ryan, do you have an engineer's estimate for this line?
100,000.
What is it?
100,000.
Okay, thank you. And this is for the Village of New Regal sidewalk replacement along Perry Street and Finley Street and Tiffin Street. And this bid is from, let me see if I can go back. Quinn Concrete Construction out of Toledo, Ohio. Their bid amount is $93,500, 93500.00. Ooh, like tabs. The second bid is from D.L. Smith Concrete out of Norwalk, Ohio. And their bid amount is $99,346.50, 99346.50. And those are all I have.
Well, thank you to those who bid, and Charlie, you get those to review, correct?
Correct.
We go right into the RFQs.
Yep. And these, all I really need to do is read the names since they're just qualifications, and then I think you put Mike and I on the task as reviewing some of these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Awesome.
That's an awesome response.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, quite a few calls and, let's see, so I have, CT Consultants. And, where are they from? Toledo. I have Pokemeyer Design Group. They are out of Bowling Green. I have Richland Engineering out of Mansfield, Ohio. This is E.L. Robinson Engineering. They are out of Cleveland. This is Freitag and Associates out of Sydney, Ohio. And I have GGJ Incorporated out of Eastlake, Ohio. Oh, one more. Viewer Group Architect and Engineering Incorporated out of Maumee, Ohio.
Can you spell that, please?
B-U-E-H-R-E-R.
Mommy.
Out of Maumee.
Thank you.
All right.
And those are all I have.
Take those, like I said, you and Michael, you're gonna review those and give us a summary of what we got there.
Yep.
Perfect.
Second was Poggemeyer
Alright.
Design Group, I'm going with Poggemeyer.
If you want to look at any of the spellings, you can.
Okay, there's no further business to come before, we'll open this up. Did you have comments first?
Yeah.
We're gonna open it for 4 citizens' comments, and Commissioner Thomas wanted to start with a comment.
Yeah, there wasn't any business pending, but I did want to address the issue of the AEZ and rescinding the AEZ. I'm here, I understand fully well that there's been, this divisiveness with some people around these proposed energy projects. And my empathy for the folks who don't want to look at them, it's real. I get it. I'm saddened that people have angst about this and that it's occupying so much of their time. It's devastating to see people come into your office, with watery eyes and concerned about their home. It's challenging for us. So I really feel it, and I'm saddened by that. But it's important to know that if you're in the Apex Republic Wind Project, or if you're in the S-Power Seneca Wind Project, that those projects are already accepted underneath the AEZ from 2011. So any action that we take doesn't affect either one of those projects. So I'm absolutely clear. Seneca Wind, Republic, they're filed at the Ohio Siting Board. They are accepted underneath the 2011 AAZ. The other projects that are out there, Honey Creek, Emerson projects, they have less certain footing, but would have the same claim. So, armed with that fact, that those two significant projects are accepted under the AEZ, I feel that continued calls to rescind the AEZ are misleading. They're truly misleading, and quite frankly, I think self-aggrandizing, because they are not effective in changing the tax structure for those two projects. I don't know if these projects are going to move forward. That's private business. They're the only people that know that. What I do know is that local officials maintaining a clear and consistent approach to economic development is conducive to growing a productive local economy. And maintaining the AEZ offers that stability necessary for investment to occur in Seneca County, partnering with entrepreneurial local landowners. The local property owners do have the right, under Ohio law, to develop their property for alternative energy. So, the last thing I'd like to say is there's been some question about, what we can do as commissioners. And, I sit here, ready to participate in a lobbying effort to talk about what is reasonable and safe setbacks. I've been engaged in that process for a year. I think there is middle ground somewhere between what is a moratorium on the one hand and reasonable on the other side. So I think we should seek that middle ground. From my position as commissioner, I'm willing to sit here and monitor the Ohio Siting Board. They are the agency that's regulating these projects. To the best of my ability, I'll participate in any of the meetings that they have. We do want them to enforce current Ohio law and make sure that the development companies are developing in a responsible, legal way. But beyond that, that's their charge, not our charge. But we'll continue to monitor them. So that's what I wanted to say. I would have said if I would have been here last week, but I missed that meeting. And so I just wanted to make sure that the record was clear on where I'm at and everybody got my 2 cents. That's Shane Thomas. That's not the board's position, it's the Shane Thomas position. So I'm not speaking for Holly or myself.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. It's 11:17. We'll go into citizens' comments at this time. If you wish to speak, you just state your name and where you're from. And like I said, we'll get everybody in until time. Ron?
Yes, first of all, I want to make it clear that I'm taking my reporter hat off here and speaking as a citizen, and to not reflect what I'm about to say on the Review Times. But I understand how divisive this wind turbine issue has been. I'll be honest, if I were a property owner near where one of these were going up, I probably wouldn't be too happy either. But having said that, I think what happened at the meeting last week was the disrespectfulness that was shown by some was uncalled for. Every commissioner has a right to vote however they want on this issue. But for people to jeer a commissioner and say things that were said, I think was over the line. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Anybody else for citizens' comments?
I'm Greg Smith from Bloom Township, and first off, thanks Shane for your comments, and certainly can understand and respect, your position. Several things. First off, just to clarify, I'm a member of the Seneca Anti-Wind Union. I'm not necessarily anti-wind. I'm okay with wind as long as we respect the current setbacks. So definitely would, take you up on talking about, is there, what's reasonable, what's not. I personally believe the current laws that are in place since 2014 are appropriate. They were put in place to protect my property rights, and I'd like to see that, honored. So again, it's not, hell no, no way type thing. It's okay, we can do this, but it's got to be, within certain guidelines. Secondly, just a question. The AEZ, I assume that applies across the whole county. And is there any rhyme or reason as to why there, at least 3 wind farm proposals are in the eastern half of the county and not the western half? Is there any, science or facts or just coincidence that that's why it is?
I don't have any.
I mean, the wind blows on the west side of the county too. And
Yeah,
it just
and
seems odd.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
more curious.
I'm not sure that there's not leases being signed up there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know of any projects, but it strikes me as odd as well.
Unless there's there's more natural things. Obviously, around an airport is not going to be a spot. Close to
Airports
the
are
river
probably-
is not going to, probably because of the
But,
inhabitant.
you think of like New Regal, Fostoria area,
I-
Baskin. You could argue there's more open ground there. It just seems like there's fewer woods than what there are.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just curious. So
Don't know.
just a general question. And then my third point, and you knew this was coming. I got to ask you about your homework, whether or not you read the book.
I have not read the book yet.
Okay. Shane.
Can you get an incomplete?
Well, Mr. Kirshner's gonna have that. He might have an F or.
Yeah.
We'll have to check with him next week.
We did receive a copy of that book earlier, and I did take it home and read most of it. I wasn't ready for the quiz. But, one of the things that I read in the book that I don't think is true anymore is, when he was writing that, he says, it was forced on the electric grid and people's power rates went up, and this keeps getting asked to us. What's changed significantly in the last several years is companies that are relocating to Ohio are demanding renewable power, the Amazons, the Googles of the world. And that's why you see people like from Licking County Economic Development being engaged in this process. They're not getting wind, but they're getting fulfillment centers and other data centers that are energy intense. And these big companies are demanding renewable energy. So the demand side has changed. I mean, he's writing the book, it's more of a cram down to rate. You know, that's one of the things he talks about is how it was a cram down on the rate payers. And now it's a demand from Owens Corning, General Motors, Google, Amazon, and that's why we're going to see a lot of activity, I think.
Okay, well, the homework assignment, still stands, so I encourage Holly for you to take time to read it. And,
I love to read, but having time for getting all the reading done is not an easy task, so you can keep asking and I'll.
Yeah, I mean, again, the reason I ask is, there's a certain percentage, and it's a growing percentage of the citizens group that believes on that side of the argument. So from a commissioner's perspective, I think there's a responsibility on your side to understand that the opinion and the concerns of that group of citizens. So just encourage you to read it. There's some interesting facts from somebody who's been there, done that. So we'll check again next week.
Any other comments? Yes,
Charles Grote, Bloom Township.
Charles, I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Grote.
Gross?
Grote.
Grote, thank
Like
you.
boat. Thank you for your time. And I agree that if the AZ is rescinded, that it will probably not have an immediate impact in what's going on now. But I believe that we can take measures to protect it from happening to other people in the western part of the county, to go through what we're going through right now. And I think as a community, it's our responsibility to protect each other. I think also that Commissioner Thomas has talked about property rights. Yes, we have the right to build, but rescinding this will not infringe on anybody's rights to build. So you can rescind and still be for people's property rights at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. And after listening to Mr. Stacy last meeting, as she was listening through the benefits that the schools and other organizations will get, I went back and I did some thinking. And I'm concerned that while it looks good for the community and the schools, that in the unintended consequences of that, such as like what shadow flicker would be for the turbines, is that it can end up hurting the schools. If you look at levies that are coming out, Seneca East has a 1% renewal that expires in 2020, right when this project is going to be built. If only 86 people who voted for it were so distrustful and upset over what's happening, decided to vote against it, it would fail. And that would lose Seneca East over $1 million. This is based on numbers from their 5-year forecast of what they brought in 2017. Same thing for Old Fort. They have 85 people for their 1%, will expire in 2019. This is exactly when all the construction is going to be happening. So if you take that off of the Republic Wind website, that $36 million for 30 years, right? That's 1.2 million per year per those schools. So you're getting maybe 200,000. So if you get that 200,000, but you end up losing over $1 million, are you better off? Okay. And another unintended consequence is that when we teach our students, okay, our kids, we want them to be learning how to be better people, and it gives them the unintended lesson that it is okay to hurt other people as long as you get money for it. As long as someone else gets money and it helps them, it's okay for you to hurt someone else. That's it.
lot to unpack there, Charles, but a couple things. One is I would encourage you to talk to some of the superintendents that are in projects, Van Wert, Crestview, Lincoln View, Antwerp, and Paulding. They're doing some pretty cool stuff with their money, and they're tying it into their curriculum. And I've had the opportunity to sit with those folks and talk to them how they're spending their pilot money, how they're using the renewable energy and integrating it into their curriculum. Antwerp especially, you can go on their website, they've put up a solar field, and you can see how many kilowatts they're generating, and they're taking their pilot money and investing it into an innovation center. So, I think there are some really interesting things that can happen around that. The other thing that it does in the field of education is it opens up a path for people to have a career in renewable energy locally. And Apex has to invest in adult continuing education locally. That's part of the AEZ. And so, that's kind of exciting that they might be able to partner with Heidelberg or the technical school and provide some adult education and provide a career track. So I think there are some really positive things that are going to happen in education. And as far as the landowner rights, if the AEZ were rescinded, we would not, my statement was that we wouldn't be providing that stable, consistent position that allows the investment to marry up with the entrepreneurial landowners. And so it would usurp their right to have the same right that the folks inside the Republic Wind and the Seneca Wind project have had. So I respectfully disagree on that point, that it would be disruptive to their right to develop under current Ohio law.
Anything else for citizens' comments? Yes.
Jim Fiesel, Tiffin, Ohio. Shane, I was glad to hear you say that you're willing to discuss reasonable setbacks. And I'm not sure, you weren't able to attend the meeting in Attica, but do you understand the concept of trespass zoning?
I understand what people are calling that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that something you support?
I don't support trespass zoning. Is that
You
your
don't?
question?
Okay. Yeah, do you support that concept is my question.
I don't support that concept.
Okay, so you are aware that the bills that you have been testifying in favor of in Columbus all support that concept with their setbacks that they are trying for?
Yeah, I don't agree.
How is that not true? Because the distances they're doing, they're moving from the property line to the residence, and that automatically is the concept of trespass zoning.
Yeah, no, I favor setbacks that are from property lines.
You do?
And structures.
Well, from property lines is what we have now, and that's great. Everybody in this room would love to hear you stand by that position, but we see
I
you
stand by that
testify-
position.
We see you testifying for bills in Columbus that are not with that position. They are for moving to the structure, which brings in the trespass zoning concept.
No, I think setback should be from property lines.
So then you will not testify in favor of bills anymore? That would be a great thing if you didn't. In favor of you have been testifying in favor of bills that would measure from the residents
It's
and
not
bring
true.
in. So you
All of my advocacy has been from property lines and structures.
Okay, well, you make, well, property lines and structure, now you're saying two different things.
There's two
Structures-
issues, right?
No, it's the same thing. When you're talking structure, I assume you mean habitable structure,
Right.
home. Okay, so measuring from that brings in the trespass zoning. Measuring from property line does not, which is where we currently are with the current law we started in 2014, I believe. And every bill that Mr. Reineke is promoting, and I've seen you and Holly testify at the state, brings in the concept of measuring from the home again, which automatically.
In addition to property lines.
Well, property line's a short distance, The current distance from property line.
Well, you're trying to confuse people by saying that it's from a structure. It is from a structure, but it's also a property line. So don't confuse people. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, and I would ask you not to confuse people, but the number that we're using now from the property lines, the bills in Columbus, that distance plus 100 feet will be moved to a home. And now that automatically.
Plus there'll be a property line.
There'll be a shorter distance from the property line.
Correct.
But the number they're using now.
Correct.
From property lines will be moved back to the homes and added, I think it's 100 feet. So you don't consider that to be trespass zoning?
No. Go ahead, Bill.
Can I pine on this a touch? I'm with Apex, and so we've been sort of in and out of Columbus trying to get a good grasp on what these setback bills want. As of 2014, we lost any setback from homes. So the setback, as it stands in Ohio, with current legislation, is your 1,125 feet plus a blade from a property line. There is no setback from a home. And so we could build as close as we want to a home now. It wasn't that way prior to 2014. Prior to 2014, it was a setback of 1,125 feet.
Property and he signed up for it. I'm talking about neighbors who are not part of the project.
Right, anybody. There is no home setback in Ohio as it stands now. Current proposed legislation would create a setback from homes, similar to what it used to be, but greater. And so it would be 1,225 feet plus the blade from a home. And so that's what's proposed. There's a reduction in the property line setback, which would affect those with very large farms. It wouldn't affect someone with a small property. And so those are generally the folks that aren't as involved as the farmers in the community in these projects. And so the idea is that we're protecting those folks who aren't involved in the project. Even those who are, we now have a setback if this legislation goes through from homes.
But you would acknowledge that the setback from the adjoining neighbor who is not part of the program is going to be closer than it is now.
To the property line, but not the home. It'll be much further from the home.
No, excuse
Right.
me. I'm totally misunderstanding this whole issue. Maybe you can help clarify.
Sure.
But as I understand it now, current law, we're 1125 from a property line. And I'm talking the property line of a person who is not part of the project, has no benefit, no compensation for this project. We're over here at 1125 plus the blade width from his line.
Sure.
And now we're going to move 1225 from his house, which automatically brings it closer to his house.
That sounds further to me than 1,125.
1225, I think, will be the new number.
Right, so that'd be 100 feet additional.
Right.
So it's
12, 1125 and 100 feet is 1225.
Right.
So you will acknowledge that you will be moving closer to homes that are not being compensated
than what the current law.
than what the current law is. That's what you're pushing for. That's what you're lobbying for in Columbus. That's what Mr. St. Thomas and Ms. Stacy are lobbying for.
The setback change in Columbus is focused on property lines. Although we're also instituting a home setback. The reason we're instituting a home setback is for this reason. So you don't have people getting closer to homes that aren't involved in the project, which I'd imagine is
You're
not
doing a very smooth talking job of getting around the point that I'm making. What I'm talking about is you are not protecting this homeowner. You are moving closer to this homeowner. That's what you want to do. Is that correct?
I disagree.
Okay.
How can you disagree with that?
It's flat out true, what Jim's saying. I mean, we own 35 acres, and I'm an engineer, so I drew a drawing to scale. And if I lay it out per the current setbacks and the turbines are placed X, with the proposed changes to the residential structure and, and to the property line, that turbine is located closer to my home, without a doubt. That's exactly what Jim's saying. And that's all you're looking for is an acknowledgement.
Yes.
That the current proposed changes to setbacks will move the turbines closer to homes.
In some cases, I'm sure.
Yeah, potentially. But it needs to be a property line setback as well.
There's two clauses.
Right,
Yeah.
it needs to be.
I'm much shorter. And the other issue I would bring up is all of these numbers, 1125, 1225, 720 from lines. Most 1125, I'm sure, dates back to a period of time when turbines were 200 feet tall, maybe. Now we're at 600 feet. And we're not incorporating the height of the turbine in the calculation for setback. That just seems,
I agree with you, Jim, that, with that, on that point, because I think there should be some function
yes.
of the turbine, so, and the blade. So, what I've talked
It
about
is.
is 1.2, 1.3,
That's right.
1.1, something like that. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and
I agree with that.
and it does have that language in it. It's 1.2 times the turbine height.
That's the distance from the property line has that,
Correct.
but not the distance from the house.
That's
We're
true.
using a number that's only 100 feet more from a house, a non-participating house. The number is only 100 feet more than it used to be when turbines were 200 feet tall.
Yeah.
And we hear talk in Attica of proposed turbines in other places that are 800 feet tall.
Yeah, I have.
So if that number is not a function of height, it's pretty much meaning it's already outdated, and it will be soon if it's not already.
I have an 11:30 meeting, so we need to cut this up. But what I would like to do is, Greg has invited me over for a beer, and anybody who would like to formulate policy on setbacks, I'd like to have that conversation, because at some point, the legislature is going to ask us what we think, because we are in the epicenter of this, and I would like to have vetted this argument completely, so we've looked at all sides of it, so that, you know, there's the possibility that maybe we find common ground, because I don't think we're as far apart as you think we are. But existing setbacks are a moratorium, and the projects will still get built, but it's just that much more challenging. So there's got to be some give, and we got to figure out where we do that, so it's best for everybody.
So it's really not a moratorium if the projects can still be built.
Right.
Okay.
It's been an impediment.
I'm sure.
Maybe
It's
it's a
just
better-
there's
it's a
been
better-
no new permits in 4
but
years.
not a
I think
moratorium.
that's not
It's been an
technically.
impediment. I mean, it's,
And a
the
safety
right
feature
word
for
is
them.
all that important. That's right. So the selection of word is very important.
All right.
I'm motioning to adjourn.
All right. We will stand adjourned. It's 11:38. Thank you.